I saw Katie whinging in the chat, so I thought better come live. She's there going, "Where are you? Come on, are you ready to come live? Yeah, I am. I'm here. How are you, everybody? How is everyone? Hope you're doing well today. I need to find. I'm off my game now because Katie got me to come up early, so blame Katie for this. Hang on. Now you're gonna have to wait a second for me to do this. Hang on. I gotta put my analytics up and then I'll be ready. What I normally do in the mornings before getting in. So switch accounts. They remind me to tell Sarah P something as well. I need to tell Sarah P something before I forget. Right. No, put that there. There. Right, got it. How are we, everybody? Sarah P, hello. I know you're not here yet, but hello, Sarah P. Morning, Delan. Morning. Subscribe to my new sports channel, please do. Morning, Sarah P. Morning, Sasmas. Hello, my darling. Nice to see you. Rhonda, hello, my darling. How are you? Katie, here we go. Bad Daz, afternoon, sir. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for all the messages over the weekend. I had a bouncing time. There you go. Lee Di is in the house as well. There she is. Sarah P, I got something to tell you as well. See, I knew you were ready, lol. I've already went to the gym and showered. Badaza, before Badaza says pick, so it never happened. Um, there you go. Lady Di, hello, Lady Di. Hope you're well as well. Go ahead, I'm listening. So your link, the link for the coffee is no longer correct. It's a different link now. I'll post a link for you here, Sarah P. I changed it so that I can use it for both channels. So the new link, it's just got El Chappy at the end. Let me post it in here for you, Sarah P. So instead of the alternate corner at the end, it's the El Chappy now. So just for your information, so that we got that. So there you go. There you go. Marilyn, morning to Marilyn as well. Thank you, Just Jugs, for your comments and stuff on the sports channel. Thank you, my darling. I gave you sports team a like yesterday and came in and hit the emoji icon thing helped. Yes. There you go. You could have said something in chat. I'll say Bex was in chat. Dave was in chat. Boston Dave was chatted to Boston Dave. I did say hello to Bex. I just didn't take the piss out of it. I take that channel a lot more seriously than I do this channel. That's all. But you can always chat. I'll always say hello to you. I will just not engage in, like, I just don't want it to be any, like, the chat here is nonsense and I love it. I want that chat not to be serious. I just want it to be more focused on football than trials and stuff. That's all. That's my only thing. I just don't want to turn into like a trial channel. You know, I want to keep that here and football separate. But chatting in a way is fine. That is absolutely fine. But as I say, it won't be of interest to people, so it's all good. There you go. Please make sure you stream. There you go. I saw Bex and Boss Day. Yeah, they were there. Yes, and Jen has been on every video as well. The weekend, chatting away, liking them all. So I appreciate that as well. So today, the plan is I'm going to show the closing arguments and the Lucy Medina verdict as well, which is not going to take that long. It's not going to be a long, you know, stream today because I'm on my other channel later on today at 3:00. Go through free agency, but tomorrow, my plan tomorrow is there's a new trial happening today. So my plan is to catch up on that tomorrow, if you know what I mean. So basically, to do that from a day behind. So the new trial, which I'll tell you about in a second, starts today. But I will, because this, so just explanation, there is NFL free agency, which is a big deal. So I'm going to be streaming that at 3 o'clock Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on my other channel. So today is going to be a very short day. Tomorrow we'll go most of the day tomorrow, zoom in until the end of day one. Wednesday we'll play day two, so we'll be a day behind. And I know most of you in chat, most of you women in chat prefer it from behind. So um, you know, I'll do that, and then on Thursday, Friday, we'll probably catch up to live. So that's the plan. I let my husband listen for a few, but I didn't want to risk me and Bex messing up. No, don't worry. I say, but if you can like it, happy days and stuff like that. I don't want to put people off or anything like that. It's just more of a, I say, this stream is, it's off the rails and I love it. Don't get me wrong. If you're trying to attract new people to a new channel, they're not always going to get inside jokes and going to understand how bad Daza is a filthy bastard and stuff like that. That's what I mean by the other channel, and I'll always be polite on the other one because I don't want to ruin that channel before it started, That's the main reason. But you can definitely chat in there. There's no issues or anything like that. I'm trying. You've done a good job. Thank you, Jugs. There you go. Morning, Just Jugs. There you go, everyone. So the new trial starting today, and if you want to go watch it live, go and watch it live. It's a bench trial. It is. It's in Florida. Let me get it for you here now. Let me get it for you here now. Oh, the cunt is here. Hello. So, in fairness, she was very good yesterday in my other channel. But I did tell her I would call her a cunt in this channel and be polite to her on the other channel. Right. Right. So hang on. So this is what it's about, the trial, which we'll be covering tomorrow. It is West Palm Beach, Florida. A Florida man faces trial this week on charges he tried to murder his girlfriend while they were out on a boating event in South Florida. You were very mature, Bex. Cole Preston Goldberg, 26, is charged with attempted. Wait until you hear what the plea deal was for this guy, right? And he turned it down. You wait until you hear this, right? He's charged with attempted second-degree murder after prosecutors say he tried to strangle his then-girlfriend, Caroline Switsky, with the two while the two were attending a Boca Bash event on April 24th, 2022. Switchkey is a Miami-based talent agent. The couple had been dating for approximately a year at the time of the incident. Got into an argument while aboard a boat at the event. Investigators say Switchkey tried to get away, but Goldberg physically held her and tried to prevent her from leaving. She eventually jumped off the boat and tried to swim to another boat nearby, prompting Goldberg to jump into the water after her. A witness from the second boat told police that once in the water, Goldberg grabbed her by the throat with both hands, attempted to strangle her, and was holding her under the water in a complete rage. The strangers on the second boat were able to pull the alleged victim on board, but wouldn't let Goldberg on the boat. When police arrived at the scene, he was swimming between the two boats. Goldberg was initially charged with domestic battery by strangulation. Those charges were upgraded more than a year after the incident to attempted second-degree murder. Prosecutors offered Goldberg a plea agreement that would have required him to serve 6 months in jail and 3 years probation for attempted murder. Is that it? 6 months in jail and 3 years of probation, as well as write a 500-word letter of apology He turned down the offer, saying he would not accept a plea to a felony. Dude, if it is true that there's witnesses of you trying to strangle your girlfriend and you won't take that beautiful plea, then you're fucked. I don't know what. I mean, look, he's innocent unless proven guilty, but we know there's witnesses and all sorts there. I just don't get it. That's a very, if you know, that's a very sweetheart deal. Do you know what I mean? Goldberg has opted for a bench trial, which means a judge will solely be responsible for deciding his fate. So there you go. So that's the trial I want. It's going to be live today in Florida, but as I say, it's something I want to, you know, should we cover? So we'll see what happens. Oh, here we go. Now the fucking you see, morning. Did you have your big girl pants on and a bra? 6 months in jail. Yes, I agree. What the actual fuck, Bex? I saw you there. I got nervous and left so we wouldn't flirt and mess the land up. You don't need to flirt in there for fuck's sakes. You could chat though, but no need to flirt. What a moron, I know. Just want you all to know it's finally 60 degrees here today. Happy days. You know I can't resist you. As I say and do whatever you want in this chat. I literally don't care. Get your horny asses wherever. I don't care. So Sarah, did you get my message about the buy me coffee exchange as well? I think you did, but I just wanted to double check. And I think this is the right Let me try this QR code. I've had to redo this QR code. Let me see if it takes me there. If it takes me there, it does take me there. Happy days. Right. Okay, so saying all that, so as I say, it's going to be, hey Marky, how are you doing, fella? Also, in other news, Maze my eyes, if he hadn't accepted the plea deal, what shenanigans are going on? Yeah, no, it does. But what I can't understand, Leda, is if they're saying there's witnesses. If they're witnesses that have seen this happen, like, I'm not being judgmental. Maybe I think what it is, he just doesn't want the felony. So he might say, I don't think he could deny doing it. I just think he's saying that the charges are too high. So also, just so you know, I'm obviously on StreamYard today, as you can see. So I went to do my new channel yesterday, and you have to link it for 24 hours. And StreamYard gave me a week for free. They gave me a week of StreamYard for free. So we'll be on StreamYard this week now because it was free. So in order to link another channel, you have to pay for it. So I might have to come back to StreamYard. So we'll see. But also in other news, can you see my headphones? That's my headphones. That's it. My headphones are fucked. So, do you know what I mean? So I can't really hear much today. So I do need new ones. Once I can afford it, I will buy new ones. But for now, they will do. They will do. Pro stream everybody. I know what the hell. I know. That's the fucking. Oh well, it is what it is. There's nothing to do about it. So we'll live with it for a few months. It's fine. Right. Let's get a YouTube sensation. You're such a bitch. It's unbelievable. Duct tape. Actually, duct tape might work, actually. Actually, that might be a good shout. See, it's there then. I'll try and fix it, but it's fine. I'll buy new ones in a few months. It's fine. Right. Let's take a look at this here. Let me find it. But I think I've explained everything. We're gonna watch that new trial tomorrow onwards. But as I say, if you're desperate to watch it now, watch it now. But I do want to do the free agency stuff at 3 o'clock, and between 12 and 3, I want to watch Pat McAfee and stuff. So, right, hang on. Oh, hold me tight. Hold me tight. Because I know people at Lady Di, they can't stand. She will probably watch it today. I need to try and look at this. Right. Need to find them now. This is Katie's fault because I would have done this beforehand. So I blame Katie for this. Can't find the frigging thing now. Right, hang on. Let me Google it. Actually, let me put the actual thing in. Maybe because it's on Court TV. Maybe that's why. Okay. Maybe that's why. Right. I need to put this here. Court TV. So no, this is the last thing I have to do was get this sorted. I always leave it to the last minute to get this done. Okay, so there's not much here, but we'll have a chat after this anyway. Right, so this first one is Hank Brennan. He is here, so let me put this up here. Also, I'm not used to StreamYard again now. No, oh, they do work here. Shit, I didn't realize that they work. Those signals worked here. Let me boost it for you guys.
Okay, so jurors, at this point, we will start with closing arguments, and counsel for Ms. Medina will go first.
Thank you.
Just remember, in Massachusetts, normally the defense go first. The prosecutors normally go. We waive it so that we can finish off on it.
It's 2026, and we're still talking about whether or not domestic violence happens. It is hard to believe in 2026, we're still debating what a battered woman is. That someone has to see the abuser physically punch the victim. In 2026, the Commonwealth is placing Lucy Medina before you, suggesting that a person who has been battered for 28 years who finally says, no, stop. You can't keep hitting me. In 2026, a woman who tries to protect herself faces criminal charges. And the questions asked of witnesses, did you actually see him punch her? No. I saw the bruises and the marks and the scratches and the flowers. Not once, not twice, not 1 year, for years. And we're debating if somebody's a battered woman. You heard from Dr. Zeisel, a fantastic, experienced, thoughtful, kind, 38 years of experience. And he came, took the stand, and he told you about some of what you might have known, some what you might not have known about a woman who has been battered. And he was asked, why didn't you meet with Miss Medina? You should have met with Miss Medina. She wasn't evasive. She was afraid. She was battered. She was humiliated. And he had an opinion with no doubt that woman is a battered woman on his education, his experience, his diagnosis. And you know what? He did meet her in this courtroom like you did. And he watched her for hours as he testified. And when he watched her, it did not undermine his conclusion one speck. What he saw solidified what he already knew. And as wonderful as Dr. Zeisel is, we don't need an expert of 38 years experience. The best seats are the seats right here. The seats you were chosen to sit in, just feet. And you could see, and you could hear, and you could feel. If there's any dispute, it is over. This is a battered woman, and she had a right. She had a right to say no. She had a right to defend herself. She had a right. This woman is in the wrong seat. She shouldn't be sitting here. She should be sitting there. A witness, a victim. Where's the victim witness advocates? Where's the support for the 28 years of abuse? She's sitting here because the government put her here and put a label on her. She's a defendant, and they did it like that. Did they investigate? Did they show due diligence? Did they care? Their decision was over before it started. Did they actually sit back and try to think, what actually happened and why did it happen? I mentioned that to you in the opening. They're going to come and tell you what they saw after. What actually happened and why did it happen? They didn't do much. They went to the scene, they take pictures. Now, the medical personnel spoke to Luis Medina. He could speak clearly. You're going to see the records. And he said, I cut myself. I cut myself. Did he? Is he lying to cover for her? Is he telling the truth? Nobody would know, because when the police and the government received information, they did nothing. They went to the hospital. He was intubated. He couldn't talk. They didn't go back. It was COVID. We already charged Lucy. Don't go back. Don't try. What do you mean by you stabbed yourself? How did you stab yourself? Did you take the knife from her? Did you grab her arm? Did you struggle? Did you knock over furniture? Nobody cared. Nobody cared, because she was already in that seat. And she was going to stay there as she is today before you. And that was it. There was an officer at the scene, didn't have a great memory. Basically, she said something about stabbing, basically. But then when I questioned him, basically, you don't speak Spanish. You heard her on the 911 tape moments before we see her in this catatonic, terrified, turbulent state. And he admits, I don't know what she really said. I don't know verbatim. I got the gist of it. The gist of it. This woman who speaks Spanish, distraught, through this terror, I got the gist of it, and that was it? Okay. Don't follow up. Don't look for facts. Don't look for details. And at the scene, they tell you that they talked to neighbors. You didn't hear from one neighbor that they went to a door. You heard from Miss Sanchez. But later from another officer, you heard Miss Sanchez came to them. They didn't go knock on the door. She came to them. What other neighbor did they speak to? What other tenant did they speak to? Nothing. They didn't care. So they bring Miss Medina to the station. And when they bring her to the station, understand she has been beaten, battered, again. She has bruises covering her body. She is in pain. She's afraid. Speaks Spanish as a primary language. In that interview, I'm not going to be as kind as Dr. Zeisel. Was it misogynistic? Is that too much of a word for me to use? Is it? You have a woman who helps her take off her clothes. She's in basically a piece of paper. She's distraught. She's emotional. You see her staring, unattached, detached. Why isn't a woman in the room? You have two men, and they were soft-spoken. They weren't nice. All she cared about was her husband, her king. Not herself, her king. Is he okay? Oh, maybe. There's no empathy. There's no understanding. There's no search for what actually happened. On that tape, the investigator uses the word stabbed 8 times, trying to force those words in her mouth. And she knows force emotionally and physically. And she keeps on saying, I don't know. Where did you stab him? I don't know. Where was he? I don't know. You never heard her say on that tape, I stabbed him. You don't hear that. It's their words, and she says she does not know.
Hippie chick, lady di, spacey Stacy, walking those streets all night. You go, ladies, come and see what's going on now. Let's go, girls.
If you think for a second she's not being honest, watch her emotion. Think of what Dr. Zeisel said. She could have defended herself and talked about how she incurred all of these wounds and blamed Luis Medina. She didn't. A dissociative state, a catatonic state. And so what the government has for evidence comes from that interview. And think about her demeanor and interaction, that stare, that distance. And think about the attitude of the investigators. You have to listen. But one of them calls her Hun. Hun. Here's another thing you might notice in the tape. When they ask her what was happening, and she says, he beats me. The detective goes, oh, he cheated on you. Scorned woman, of course, that's the case. He cheated on you. No, he beats me. That is their first instinct and impression and bias as they're speaking to her. Love or scorn has nothing to do with it. That's how they treat her. That's how they think. Watch when she's giving Miranda. Do you understand these complicated rights? She's staring at the table. Her head, you don't know which way it's shaking. Oh, you agreed to that one. You agreed to that one. So the government is going to take 2 fragmented sentences and try to build a case beyond a reasonable doubt. They're not even close. They're going to say to you that when she came outside with the knife, she walked up and stabbed him. Now, if she did, if that was the truth, and it's not, she would have had every right to do that because she had a right to defend herself. But that is not the facts, not even close. I warned you in the opening. You weren't going to hear any evidence that she walked up and she stabbed him. She came outside with the knife and said, you have to stop hitting me. Please stop hitting me. They have no idea, no evidence. They should not even argue an inference about what happens after that. Because all we know is she says, you need to stop hitting me. And at some point she calls 911 and there's a wound. How does it happen? We can speculate, but we're not supposed to. The audacity of her to challenge him. Did he attack her? Was she trying to fend him off? Did he grab the knife and hit himself? Did she fall on the ground and hold it up? You don't know because the government didn't do their homework. You don't hear from an expert on wounds. You don't hear anything about the angle and the position that she was in. You don't hear whether or not he could have pushed the knife in fighting for it. You don't know anything because they didn't do anything. And they're going to ask you with absolutely no evidence to take her from when she was saying, you can't hit me anymore holding a knife, to somehow her stabbing him. That sequence is absent. But what we do know is there is a struggle. There was a struggle. Now remember, she told the police she got punched twice, it's all she remembered. Cut on her lip, and then another punch. The struggle must have been before he was impaled. It must have been. Because if there was 2 punches, her injuries are far more than 2 strikes. We know there was a struggle in that backyard. Tipped over hibachi, flowers strewn, furniture turned over. She said she threw a candle at him at first. That wasn't enough to stop him. The candle was not enough to stop him. We know there is a struggle. And then we know there is a number of wounds, a number. Her lip, her hands. They don't have anybody come in to explain defensive wounds. Her chest, her neck, her face, her back, her elbows, scrapes, dragged, her knees. This was a struggle, and they can't tell you who started the physical struggle, who grabbed who touched who first, who escalated. They cannot tell you. They ask you just to jump and fill in the blanks. You cannot do that with evidence. You cannot guess or have an inference. You need fact, and they don't have it. And that is the heart of their case, asking you to speculate. Ignore what Louis Medina said to the paramedic, to the trauma doctor. I did it myself. Ignore it. Throw it out. We're asking you to do that. And so when you think about who started this physical altercation, there's a word in law, first aggressor. You can consider evidence about who was the first aggressor. Do you think it was Louis Medina who started the physical altercation? Or do you think it was Lucy Medina? Because if it was Louis Medina, the government can't disprove self-defense. They can't. They won't because it didn't, but they can't. So think about first aggressor. A lifetime of subservience, a lifetime of kindness, a once very happy, thoughtful, kind woman who never lifted a finger to her king in 28 years. You think she was the first aggressor? And then contrast that with Louis Medina. Before he even met her, Commonwealth and Defense, they agree prior to meeting Lucy Medina. In 1998, Louis Medina was dating a different woman and had a child with that woman. During Mr. Medina's relationship with this prior woman, Mr. Medina beat and battered her. They agreed. And then how long did it take when he met Miss Medina? 5 months, dragging her into her mother's home in a back room and beating her so bad, the welts in her face, she's so embarrassed, confused, she doesn't leave the room for days. Who's the first aggressor? I can't go through the litany of 28 years, nor do we want to have to suffer through that. But there's no boundaries for this first aggressor. She's pregnant with their child, and he's pushing her down in a tub. The indignity of taking her out like a piece of trash. Any doubt who the first aggressor was that night? When we think about first aggressor, we also can consider what her friends and co-workers saw. I don't want to detail it. We heard it plenty. It's gut-wrenching. The bruises, the flowers, the weeks off of work. And if it wasn't enough, well, that information was provided to the government back in 2000. They didn't bring one witness in to testify. They didn't make one phone call to try to find out why this happened. They did not even bring the witnesses in for your consideration. We have no burden of proof. That's the law. You heard from the court. We have no burden of proof. But we kind of do, because they weren't going to do it. See, they're putting on a case. It's a search for the truth, all the evidence. They're putting on a case. If we didn't bring these witnesses to you, you would never know. You would never know. We tried. We alerted them. We asked them. They ignored it. They ignored it. And so you heard from Ruth. You heard from Kirsty. You heard what they saw over those years. And that can help you when you consider who initiated the physical combat, who was the first aggressor. And if that's not enough, remarkably, you heard from Louis Medina's attorney. Attorney Murat Erkan came in on behalf of his client, and they actually waived part of their attorney-client privilege. And Attorney Erkan shared with you, and I have his words verbatim because they are powerful. This is what his client told him to tell us. He frequently and violently abused his wife. He struggled with severe alcohol dependency. He expressed it was important for everybody to know, especially when he was under the influence of alcohol, he frequently brutalized his wife. Those are the words of their so-called victim in this case. And Attorney Erkan came in, and you saw his diligence and his thoughtfulness and his vetting process to make sure there was no undue influence or trying to help, that he believed this to be accurate. And by the way, asked how much he was going to make. Doesn't seem like he's going to charge a dime. Why would he come in for free on behalf of a client and give you that powerful information unless it was dead on accurate? And so the other part of the government's argument, other than trying to get you to do some guesswork about stabbing, which they can't prove, is they're going to say Lucy Medina should have walked away, should have ran away. She didn't use all means to avoid it, because she said in that interview, when she's staring off into space, worried about her husband, cold, afraid, she said, I could have walked away. It could have ended. And they're going to take that one statement out of context and say, she doesn't have a right to self-defense. She could have walked away. Where was she going to go? If she could have walked away, wouldn't have she walked away 28 years ago, before the beatings and the brutalization and the pounding? Where was she going to go? And when you think about whether she could walk away, I asked Dr. Zeisel, under the circumstances, could she walk away? In his opinion, his professional opinion, he said unequivocally no. Now, why? Why couldn't she walk away? Well, she's in the middle of a moment of a beatdown. We have no idea the sequence of how it happened. And we also know that when you think about whether she could have walked away, you have to, you're entitled to. You can consider her state of mind. You can consider Lucy, how she was thinking and perceiving things on that awful night, which means we have to go back, and we don't want to keep going back, but we have to go back. This isn't two men on a street and they're going to get in a fist fight and one person pulls out a gun and they could have walked away. This is her home. This is her life. This is where she's been living and beaten for over 2 decades. You get to consider her state of mind. We have that privilege to consider her state of mind. All of the beatings, all of the emotional abuse, all of the flowers, the honeymoon, the luring, the grooming, in his words. If you leave, I will kill you. And they're going to argue to you that she should have ran and gone somewhere and fled. You are allowed to consider the condition of a person who is a battered woman, and that is Lucy Medina. You're allowed to consider that when you consider whether she reasonably in her mind could have walked away from anything. You can consider her mental health diagnoses that she didn't have before she met Lucy Medina, and that is anxiety disorder, PTSD. You can consider that she was fearing not just that moment, but the past beatings and the future beatings that would have come. You can consider all of that. You can consider in her mind her knowledge of his power and dominance. You can consider in her mind the threats that he would kill her. In her mind, it wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when and how bad. And didn't you hear witnesses say as time went on, it got worse and worse? Government might say in the interview, she said it hadn't happened for 3 years. Well, people abuse, protect their abusers. It did happen within 3 years because you heard from the witnesses it happened right before COVID, about 6 months before this incident. Last time they saw her, all bruised up. That's why those words in a video like that are dangerous, because she's always protecting, she's covering, she's hiding, she's trying to protect her king. She couldn't walk away. Emotion, remember the study with the dogs and the zapping, and after they get zapped, they don't move when the door opens. She emotionally couldn't get away. She physically couldn't get away. And the beauty of having a jury is we have collective experiences and we'll have all different experiences. If you've never experienced the catastrophic consequences of domestic violence, and it's never been part of your world, then I am happy for you. But if you've seen it, and you know what it looks like, and you've been part of it, then you know she couldn't walk away. You know. So when you deliberate and you share your common experiences, for those of you who know, if someone doesn't have that experience, take the time to share with them and explain to them why Lucy Medina simply could not escape. Help them understand. At the beginning of this case, we made some promises to you, although we have no burden of proof. We promised to show you that the government could not show you, because they had no evidence, how Mr. Medina created or had a laceration in his throat. We told you that. That's exactly what we showed. And we told you it is important to understand the why, everything that comes before it. And we brought you witnesses and an attorney and an expert. The government didn't bring anything. This case was closed that night. I had to ask how many detectives and officers, who's the lead detective? Finally, Mr. Negotiating comes in at the end, says he's the lead detective, knows nothing about the case, didn't do anything because of COVID, and never followed up. And had he known about all this stuff, he would have done something about it. But they didn't tell him. They didn't care. And so we're here now before you, and I said something in the opening statement that I've given a lot of thought to. I said, Lucy Medina stole Lucy Medina's dignity. I'd like to reconsider that. He didn't steal her dignity. Despite how she feels, Lucy Medina, she has great dignity. And I know Dr. Zeisel said, hope. She lives day by day without hope. Well, I have hope for Lucy Medina because she is resilient, she is persistent, she is kind. She may not have hope yesterday, she may not have hope today, but she has you. She has each and every one of you. And the government did nothing. But the reason why we have jury trials is we have good people from the community who care, who think, who discuss. And we have great faith you will do that. And so Lucy Medina has her dignity. She has hope. And she has each and every one of you. Thank you.
Okay. First one out the way. Right, then we got the prosecution. Bye bye, baby, say goodbye. Is Lida, are you still here? Have you gone already to watch that other trial? Bye bye, Miss American Pie. Ladies leave, but Dancer alone, he's a 5. Okay, got that. Ah, right. Share screen.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. I just had to walk away and go upstairs, then let it be, just forget about it, don't say nothing. That's all she had to do. There's one thing I want to address in that presentation you just heard. The Commonwealth, no one in this courtroom is saying that domestic violence doesn't exist. No one in this courtroom is saying nobody suffers from domestic violence. Nobody's saying that. The Commonwealth is asking you to consider all of the circumstances in this case. All of the circumstances in this case. And acknowledging that there are battered women, that there is domestic violence, this defendant is still guilty. You didn't hear from Lewis. That's true. You did hear from a very important witness about what happened. You heard from Mrs. Medina in that interview that we all watched. And I ask you, and I'm sure the defense would agree, please watch that interview again. Listen to it closely. And if you go back and listen to that interview again, I ask you to consider closely not what she says, but how many times she says certain things and what appears to be top of mind for her. And obviously, she's concerned about Lewis. She's concerned about his condition. She wants to know if he's going to be okay. But other than that, what is she thinking about? Over and over and over again. Why didn't I walk away, go upstairs, or go to bed? If she knew that she could have just let it be, then she should have. The defense claims that Mrs. Medina couldn't remember what happened that night, but because of her mental state. You heard from Dr. Zeisel, who'd never met her in person before yesterday, started evaluating her 4.5 years after this event. But she does remember what happened. She remembered that night when she talked to the police. She told you herself. She knew what she was doing that night. She remembers getting off work at 3:30. She remembers that her and Lewis were outside hanging out on the patio. She remembers they were cooking out. If you listen to the interview, she specifically says that he was planning on cooking fat. She remembers that they were drinking. She told you herself she had over 5 beers. She remembers she was taking tequila shots. She remembers Lewis was drinking, but she didn't think he was drunk. She told you that they were having an argument. She even remembers what the argument was about. Regular things about their kids. Specifically, the argument was about comparing their kids, which she didn't like. She remembers throwing a candle. She remembers she went inside to get a knife. She remembers Lewis stayed outside when she went to get it. She remembers she came outside because she was trying to say, "You're not going to hit me." And she's right. He is not allowed to hit her. That is horrible. Horrible. But she still returned to the argument with the knife. She knows that it happened outside. Just listen to what she says. It happened outside because then he ran inside and I ran after him. Even if she was having issues or she was suffering from any mental disorders, it defies the evidence in the case to think that she doesn't remember what happened that night. You heard from Frances Nova, first officer on scene. She's yelling at him to save her husband, tells him that she stabbed her husband. She knew that she stabbed him. In that interview, the officers give her so many chances to say what happened. They're patient with her. They're asking her if there's anything else that that they should know. They ask her about her injuries. They take pictures of her injuries. They try as hard as they can under the circumstances to find out what happened. And I would disagree with Dr. Zeisel. I would say that interview did yield fruit. Although it was difficult, she was upset and she was distraught, she did provide them with important information about what happened. She remembers. She just didn't want to admit it. She didn't want to admit it to herself. Let's talk about Dr. Zeisel. Clearly a very smart, well-spoken, accomplished doctor. But think about the conditions under which he evaluated Mrs. Medina. And I know there were some difficulties due to her unwillingness to meet with him or show herself. But the fact of the matter is all those meetings were either phone calls, just their voices, or FaceTime. FaceTime with Mrs. Medina on her cell phone, Dr. Zeisel only able to see the top of her body. And Dr. Zeisel agreed, not ideal circumstances as a psychologist under which to conduct an evaluation. And I know he had some things to say about the police interview, something he himself admitted was Monday morning quarterbacking. But at least they met with her face to face when they conducted that interview and very patiently and kindly attempted to extract from her what happened so that they could find the truth. Dr. Zeisel had never seen her in person before yesterday. Now, do you think under those circumstances he was in a position to diagnose somebody's mental state 4.5 years after the event occurred? And he did sure have a lot to say about Luis Medina, a man he'd never met, never tried to speak to, based on information from 3 people who didn't know Mr. Medina well. You heard from the 3 witnesses, all friends with Lucy, worked with her for 15 years, the Social Security Administration, her cousin, who obviously has known her since she was born, and they saw her with bruises. They saw her wearing sweaters. She was taking work off. Nobody's disputing anything she said. But I would just suggest to you, ladies and gentlemen, they didn't really know what was going on in their relationship. And by their own admission, when they attempted to speak to Lucy about it, she never wanted to talk about her personal life. She'd tell them to butt out if they tried to ask. No one's asking you to like Luis Medina. No one's saying that he did nothing wrong. Obviously, no matter what was going on, Lucy and Luis have had a complicated relationship. They've been together for a long time. You heard all the evidence. Again, no one's asking you to think that he was not at fault. No one's saying that he's a wonderful person. You don't have to like him. But he didn't get to deserve to get stabbed in the neck, suffer from the injuries you heard about, the blood you saw pictures of, blood on the patio, blood leading to the door to the apartment, blood on the threshold, blood on the front, on the door into the apartment, blood down the hallway, blood in the kitchen. And Jesus Melendez and Frances Nova told you about Mr. Medina when they arrived on scene. And again, think about what Mrs. Medina told you in the interview. These issues, and again, nobody's saying that obviously Mrs. Medina does not deserve to get hurt, did not deserve to get abused, nothing like that. Of course not. That's horrible. But I ask you to consider the information that the officers had the night of this incident. As they were trying to extract this information from Lucy, the information that she gave them was that this happened for several years. Was she trying to protect him? Maybe, but that's the information that they had. And again, when you make the choice to leave an argument, even if it's turned physical, go to another location, grab a weapon, and come back to that argument that you had just left, you're using more force than was necessary. You're not taking reasonable steps to escape or to leave the situation. And she told you she did leave the situation. She went inside to the kitchen and he was still outside. This was not self-defense. She didn't leave the argument. She used more force than was necessary. As I told you at the beginning of this trial, no one is saying that the defendant had no right to defend herself. But as you heard in the jury instructions just now, the law does not permit retaliation or revenge. The need to protect yourself ends when that necessity ends. And there's limits of what you can do to defend yourself. You heard about ways that the Commonwealth can disprove self-defense. Specifically, the defendant did not use or attempt to use all proper and reasonable means under the circumstances to avoid physical combat before resorting to the use of deadly force. And separately, that the defendant used more force than was reasonably necessary in the circumstances. I'd suggest that was the case. Both of those circumstances are the case here. You saw that yard. You heard about where they were. She told you herself she didn't use reasonable means to get out of the situation. Or she did, but then she went back. She went into the kitchen. She grabbed a knife. Mr. Medina stayed outside. She came back outside. He was still there. She returned to the argument with a weapon. She used deadly force after she admitted to you that she should have just walked away, and she should have just walked away, gone upstairs, gone to bed, left it alone. There was one knife. There was one weapon. There was the knife that Lucy left the argument in the yard and went in to grab, that she came back outside and stabbed Mr. Medina with. You saw pictures of that knife lying on the patio with blood on the blade. There's no question that she escalated that argument, even if there was a struggle and even if it had turned physical. As you heard, she could not use more force than was necessary, and she had left the argument. Your verdict cannot be based on sympathy, cannot be based on things not in evidence, must be based on the evidence that you heard, the interview, the pictures, the information from the witnesses. The evidence shows you that. Obviously, this was not a perfect relationship, far from it. But that doesn't give somebody the right to stab somebody in the neck, particularly when that person acknowledges in the hours immediately after the incident that they left the argument, grabbed a knife, went back outside, returned to the argument, didn't leave it alone, didn't go upstairs, didn't go to bed. She didn't just walk away. I ask you to find Lucy Medina guilty of the sole charge. Thank you all very much.
Okay. So, hang on. That one's out. So I'm just trying to set up another stream, I am. So what I'm planning on doing is, once I do this, I'll set up another stream so we can watch the openings of the other trial. But yeah, this is now the verdict itself, so hopefully by the time this ends, I will have the other stream set up.
Jurors and defendant remain standing. All others be seated.
Mr. Foreperson, has your jury agreed upon a verdict?
Yes.
May the court have the papers, please? Mr. Foreperson, what say you to indictment 2021 CR 239, charging the defendant Lucy Medina with assault and battery with a dangerous weapon causing serious bodily injury? Is the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Mr. Foreperson and ladies and gentlemen of the jury, hearken to your verdict as the court has recorded it. You, upon your oaths, do say that the defendant, Lucy Medina, is not guilty on indictment 21 CR 239, charging her with assault and battery by means of a dangerous weapon causing serious bodily injury. So say you, Mr. Foreperson.
Yes.
So say you, all members of the jury.
Yes.
Your Honor, may the verdict be recorded. Thank you.
Okay, so George, you can be seated. All right. I won't keep you long, but I do want to thank you On behalf of the Commonwealth and the defendants, defense counsel, myself, I appreciate your time and attention during this trial. I'd ask you if you could, and I know we've taken a lot of your time, but I would like to come back in a few moments and speak to you and thank you personally, answer any questions you may have about the process. I don't want to know, and I'm not going to ask you about your decision making, but again, I would just like to extend my thanks in person. If you're not able to stay, I fully appreciate that. I'll be back in about 5 minutes. But with that, your service is complete. We thank you for your service and have a good day.
All right. Jerry on that.
Katie says, let me send you a new pair of headphones. I'm not stopping you. Send me one.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Your Honor, may I discharge the defendant?
You may.
Lucy Medina, please stand. Ms. Medina, on indictment 2021 CR 239, charging you with assault and battery by means of a dangerous weapon causing serious bodily injury. The jury having returned a verdict of not guilty, this court orders that you be discharged of this indictment and this indictment only, and go thereof without delay. You may be seated, ma'am. I must advise you that, as required by statute, the records regarding the charge for which you've been found not guilty will be sealed by the Commissioner of Probation and by the court unless you notify the Commissioner of Probation within 10 days in writing that you do not want those records sealed. To request that they not be sealed, you may use a form that's available on the mass.gov website. I cannot accept the form here in court. You must submit it to the Commissioner of Probation at the address provided on the form. Do you understand, ma'am? Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I want to thank counsel. The case was well tried on both sides. I appreciate, I want to comment on how professional you were and courteous to each other, maintaining your positions, representing the Commonwealth and the defendant, but you worked well together, and I appreciate that. And Ms. Medina, I wish you the best of luck for the future. And with that, unless we have anything else, we're adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you so much.
There you go. Oh, there you go. There you go. Katie, you see, I have like 400 Amazon gift cards. Let me just re-gift one to you and you can order on Prime. Happy days. Works out. But I'm not sure if that will work in the sense that I'm not sure that I'm able to use it. I don't know how it works, but we'll see. Add headphones to your wish list. I could do that, yeah, couldn't I? Hang on, let's have a look here then. Wish list, headphones. Because then you can just use it on there, KD. If I add one on Amazon wish list, you can just pay for it on your thingy card there and it comes straight over. I don't need anything special. I just need a wired one. What make these? I like these. What are these? I did like these. Hang on. Let me look what it was I got here. My orders. Headphones. Okay. Right, I have added these ones. I've added into the basket, but I can also get cheaper ones. I will have to look at that at another time, but I can definitely get cheaper ones. But those are the same ones I've got now. Right, no worries at all. Thank you, my darling. Right, so So I have set it up so we can go to the other channel. I got it all set up. So let's go to the other channel. It's all there, set up, ready. Let me see if Sarah P has already arrived there. No, with Sarah, probably not. Lazy bitch. Hang on. Let's have a look here. It should automatically take you over there. No, Sarah P was not there. Poor form from Sarah P. It'll take you there. Anyway, see you there in a couple of minutes and I will be there.